Well, I don't. I'm really. Well, first off, let me tell you, I didn't go to MQ's tonight. Decided to stay home. My son had Cub Scouts, and I just had a feeling it wasn't going to be worth the trip to go down to MQ's. So I watched it at home, but I'm sitting in my car because my fear was, and that fear is dissipating, that I was going to yell and scream and rant and rave. But, I don't know if I have it in me. I don't know if it does anybody any good. I don't know if it's worth it to rant and rave about this team anymore. I'm just spent, emotionally spent. And, I have some notes, and I'm going to talk about a couple things, but it just, I don't know. Before I get to the game, I gotta talk about Donovan McNabb real fast. I saw his interview at halftime on the NFL Network during the game, but I want to talk about an interview I saw with him on ESPN earlier in the day, which was just classic Donovan. And what I'm talking about is one of the questions asked to him was, why does he think things went so bad in Washington and Minnesota? And Donovan, being Donovan, basically blamed everybody but himself. It was vintage McNabb. And I think a lot of Eagles fans, myself included, are getting to see the real Donovan McNabb, who never, ever, ever took responsibility when he was on the Eagles. So maybe I shouldn't be as surprised. It was comical just to hear him, completely throw the blame off of himself and onto his teammates in both Washington and Minnesota. Like he had nothing to do with it. But anyway, be that as it may. Before the game, and even during the game, because Mike Mayock said this as well, Michael Irvin on the panel, another national guy, and like I said, Mayock during the game, two more national media types singing the praises of Andy Reid and how he should stay. And Chris Mortensen was on Mike and Mike earlier. I don't know who heard that conversation. Was on earlier in the day on Thursday, saying exactly the same thing. Andy Reid should stay. He's a great talent evaluator. I almost drove off the road when I heard that one. It's mind-blowing what has happened to this team. There was a point in the game where, if you saw it, I guess they did an interview with Asante Samuel, and they aired a little bit of it, and he was saying how much the players love Andy Reid and how they love to play hard for him. If I had been in the car when I heard that, I would have driven off the road. And Mike Mayock, to his credit, right after that said, well, the way you show that you play hard for a coach is by winning. And that's it. I mean, that's as simple as it gets. Of course, we've seen how hard the Eagles have been playing for their beloved coach. So if this is playing hard, you can keep it. I'm just, Vince Young, the first pass of the game, all the way up to the last interception of the game. I know the guy's no rocket scientist. I know the guy scored like a 10 on the Wonderlic test. And the maximum score you can get is a 50, and this guy scores like a 10. It's a test that they give kids coming out of college when they're entering the NFL. It's an IQ test. So he ain't no rocket scientist. He ain't no candidate for NASA for sure. But my God, I mean, what are you thinking? And I think that's the problem. He's just not that smart. He's just dumb. I'd rather believe that, and feel sorry for the guy. He's just dumb. My nephew Nick would say he's dumb as dirt. Riley Cooper. Come on. Stop it. Shake a tree and there's going to be 5 Riley Coopers falling out. It's like shake a tree and you're going to have 5 Kurt Colemans and pretty much the whole friggin' team's going to fall out. Paper. Oh, yeah, on paper, this team is, Hey, here's a question for all Eagles fans. And don't hurt yourself thinking about it, because I couldn't think of it, and I didn't, go too far back, but I didn't rack my brain too hard. When's the last time your Philadelphia Eagles under Andy Reid made it to the fourth quarter of a game, let alone to the end of the game, with all 3 timeouts left of the half? Think about it. When is the last time that has happened? I can't remember a time when the Eagles have not had to use at least one timeout in the third quarter. Rarely have they ever gotten to the fourth quarter. Forget about to the end of the game. When most teams have all 3 timeouts left. It's just, that's another reason, another example of the complete ineptitude of this team under Andy Reid. It's just, the end of the game. And when I say the end of the game, the last 6, 7, 8 minutes, excuse me, when the Eagles theoretically were still within striking distance, they're still having a huddle. They're still taking their time. What? That is pure and unadulterated coaching. Now, again, it also may come back to the fact that Vince Young is as dumb as dirt and can't run a no-huddle offense. That may be true. Hey, it wouldn't surprise me in the least. I really don't have much else to say, guys and girls. I really don't. This has been obviously an incredibly difficult year for all Eagles fans. I don't know how we watch the rest of the year. This is completely, not completely, but it's foreign. And when I say not completely, those of us old enough to remember the putrid Eagles teams under Ray Rhodes and Rich Kotite before Andy took over. But I can't remember the last time games in December meant absolutely nothing to an Eagles fan. Nothing. Not a blessed thing. And I don't want to hear, well, we're playing for next year, and we're going to evaluate our team for next year. What do you need to evaluate? What do you need to evaluate? You've seen everything you need to see. So I'm really happy that the Eagles love Andy Reid. I'm going to sleep a lot better tonight knowing that they love Andy Reid, because that's just super, okay? That's a real hallmark moment there. But this team is gutless. This team is heartless. This team plays with next to no emotion whatsoever. And I'm sorry, but Andy Reid has got to go. And his entire coaching staff. They have got to go. I've talked to people at work. I've talked to some friends who say, oh, he deserves another year. At least one more year. He deserves that for all that he's done. And I say, look, you know what? I'm all for giving the man his props. He took a really bad, putrid team from Ray Rhodes and before him, Rich Kotite. They were a bad team. But that was 13 years ago, kids. And please stop with the Bill Cowher references and analogies. Now, Bill Cowher didn't get to the Super Bowl until his 14th year. Or whatever it was. I think it was his 14th year. Please, dear God, stop with that. The team is dead. They are dead. It's time to move on. So I don't know what we do with ourselves the rest of the year. I don't know what we do on Sunday afternoons. I don't know. If anybody has any ideas, I'm open to suggestions. But I'll be watching. I'll be watching like the absolute, glutton for punishment that I am. I think that's all I got. I'm out.